Make sure you tell your son to watch his mouth. He's using derogatory terms.
He's not my son.
Well, whoever he is.
He is a special needs.
Well,
You cannot make him stop.
he can stop saying that. How did he learn the word?
He learned it from people at school.
So why he
His
using
family
it?
doesn't talk like that.
So why he using it against other people?
He's special needs, sir.
But he
You
knows.
understand that?
So why he knows to call me? Come on, man, get out of here. You're on camera.
You don't understand.
I don't
He
need to
has a
understand.
genetic disorder.
But he's smart enough
His
to
brain
know.
is not right.
But he knows where to use the word
Okay,
at, and
leave me alone.
who to use it to.
Leave me alone.
Then get out of here.
Anything. I said Mickey Mouse.
I said midget.
Mickey Mouse.
Thank you.
So guys, I want to talk about a video that I saw online where it shows a special needs kid actually being walked out of a restaurant, and what happens was that they were using the N-word. And I do think that this is a very, very important video to talk about because, what happens is that, there's this guy who was questioning the woman, and the woman's saying something like, "This is not my kid," then honestly, is this, your grandkid? Are you lying that you're the mom, or are you like a teacher or somebody bringing this kid in public? Because sometimes people will do that. I remember when I was in in elementary school, sometimes teachers would take kids out to lunch and whatever. That does happen, but the other point of it is that so there's no really accountability saying, oh, that doesn't represent me, because what a lot of people do is be like, hey, since he's using the N-word, where did he learn it from? Did he learn it from television? Did he learn from other white people? Did he learn it from hanging out around a bunch of black people or whatever? Really, where did he learn the actual word? And the third part about it is mental illness versus accountability, because there's a huge issue in this country of the mental illness get out of jail free card, and that's part of part of this gentle parenting culture, where if you have mental illness and you do something inappropriate or you say the wrong thing, people are there to your parent is basically your lawyer. They're there to say, hey, this kid has a mental illness, let him go, let him walk, really. And that's never appropriate, because, there are times in our life, really, where we're held accountable for what we say and what we do. And that's really, really important. Or there's times, too, where, there might be a kid in the psychiatric ward, because I work in a psychiatric ward. There may be, a kid who may be, low-functioning autism or another disability, and then they say that to the wrong person, and then they're going to get their ass whooped or possibly killed, really. There are times where, what you say can get you killed. You say it to the wrong person, really. So sometimes, if somebody's capable of learning, they need to learn, okay, what words are not okay to say, really, because, when you're in the real world, what's going to happen? What's going to happen in the real world where you want your kid to have a job, learn responsibilities, or if they have to live in a group home, they have to live around other races of people. What happens when they say the wrong thing to the wrong person, really? And I also work in I also have worked in a psychiatric ward, and I do understand that there are children who use the N-word and other racial slurs a lot. And one of the reasons why they do that is because they think that that's the most venomous word to say. You say the N-word at least 100 times or 200, 300 times. They think that that's 300 atomic bombs being dropped, really. But what usually happens is that most people, even black nurses, whatever, they kind of ignore it because, if you say the word nigger, 300 times, it doesn't mean anything. Same thing with words like cunt and spick and kike, so on and so on, really. It doesned have the same venom. And then sometimes people just get oh, well, you said the word nigger at least 500 times today. You said the word nigger at least 500 times tomorrow. It's not going to mean anything. But what they do teach these kids is that, hey, a few things, which is that if you talk like that, maybe one of the reasons why you're being racist intentionally is because you're insecure about something in your life. Many racist people are very insecure. Or maybe some people are racist and they have mental illness, and they're racist to overcompensate the fact that they're not happy that they have a mental illness. Or there are people who have mental health issues who are racist against certain people because they may have been abused by a certain person, or bullied by a certain person. you know, because there's this video of a bunch of black kids taking like a mentally ill kid and putting a gun in his mouth and slapping him and punching him. So if that kid understands what's going on really, then they may be like they may use the N word a lot because of what those kids do to them. But there's plenty of times where, you know, I grew up in a lot of communities. There's plenty of times where I've dealt with mental health issues, and I met many really racist, mean, nasty white people, and I met many black people who think that I'm an easy fool, really. So there are people of all races that treat people with mental health, good and bad. It goes down to the individual, but ultimately, sometimes people who are mentally ill may use those words because they've had bad experiences or they've been taken advantage of by a certain group of people. Really, that's why we should all treat people right, because sometimes hate breeds hate. And then the other part of it that I have to say is that, there are kids with mental health issues who can be untrained. I mean, who could be trained to not talk like that, because honestly, because like I said, like if you have a kid who has a learning disability and they're using racial slurs, do you think that, they're going to go to job help programs? Are they going to go to any like job help programs? Are they going to go to a group home, or will they get like admitted to those things? Or what would happen if you want to help them get a home or an apartment complex? Do you think that really that they're going to, when someone's like, hey, say let's meet your kid, let's see what he's about, really, and they hear that language and they hear all that stuff, do you think they're going to help you out? No, they're not going to help you out, because they're going to be like, hey, what the fuck is this? I'm not going to have somebody use the N-word a lot and risk my business, even if they have mental health issues. I'm not going to help you get a home, or not going to help you, pay rent or do other things like that, or move into a place that I own and that you're paying rent towards if you have that type of language. Because, what would happen if somebody wants to, break down the door and whoop the kid's ass? Or what would happen if, you lose your job because you talk like that? Or what would happen if I'm doing job training and I'm supposed to job train people with mental illnesses and a couple of them use the N-word a lot or other slurs? Do you think that I would try to be like, okay, give them chances or be understanding? No, you can't hold a job if you have those types of issues, really. So definitely it's always important that when we have people with mental health issues and one of them is just not watching what they say, really, that they have to understand consequence for their actions. And if they can't really, then they should not, then they also have to understand that the world's not always going to be sympathetic, really. There are consequences for what you say, whether or not you can control it.